Hi guys, my name is Bailey and today I'm going to be doing a book review on a book that I just finished. It is called The Midnight Library. It is a fantastic book, 10 out of 10, highly recommend. I think this book applies to anyone because I'll talk about it more in a second, but it's about life and we're all living, we're all going through the ups and downs of life. And this book just has some really valuable lessons along with being beautifully written, like OMG. And if you're also into philosophy, it has a lot of philosophical ideas, I guess, in here. The main character is really into philosophy, so a lot of their stuff talked about in there. I'm not really into philosophy that much, but I found it really interesting and I kind of was inspired to get into it a little bit. So yeah, main things. So main character, her name is Nora. She lives in a town about 30 minutes away from London. It's a really small town. She's about 30 something years old. I kind of forgot. Lives by herself. Her cat, named after her favorite philosopher, I believe. And both her parents are dead, basically. She has a brother though, who is alive. Like I said, I don't really want to, I'm trying not to give an explanation that's like on the back of the book because anybody can look up on Google what the back of the book says. I kind of want to give you my takeaways from the book or things that inspired me about the book, I guess, and about Nora as a character. I'm not going to delve too deep into it because I don't want to give spoilers. But yeah, I just have a few points that I like to make and I'm going to read different parts of the book that I thought were just like so tea, you know? So, first things first. Every path has happiness and disappointments. So, in the book, this is the very beginning, so I'm not spoiling anything, but in the book, Nora basically tries to kill herself because she's 30. She has nothing really going for her in her life. She's depressed, and she's like, dang, nobody needs me in my life. Nobody's here for me. Like, I don't have parents. My brother doesn't really talk to me. Her cat dies, and she was like, that's my last straw. Which kind of understandable. I mean, I wouldn't kill myself if my cat died, but you know, to each their own, I guess. So she kills herself. She's taken to this midnight library that is basically a point in between life and death. So no time passes. And in the library, there's a bunch of books. All the books are different lives that she can choose to live. So when she opens a book, starts reading it, she gets transported into that new life. And she's guided by her librarian, her childhood librarian, whose name is Miss Elm. So yeah, so in her different lives she chooses, a lot of them obviously, oh okay, I forgot to mention an important part. If she feels disappointment as she's in the life, then she's gonna get transported back to the library. Okay, so obviously, inevitably, she feels disappointment in like her first lives or in the lives that she chooses because disappointment is a part of every path. There is no path in life that you can take that you're not going to feel happy and you're not going to feel sad. And I feel like that's a really important point because often in our lives when we have these regrets, we're like, dang, I would have been way happier if I did this. And while you might have been somewhat happier, that doesn't mean you would have never felt disappointment on that path as well. And I feel like, wait, let me see if I can find a quote from this book because it says it really well. Okay, I found it. Every second of every day, we are entering a new universe, and we spend so much time wishing our lives were different, comparing ourselves to other people and to other versions of ourselves, when really most lives contain degrees of good and degrees of bad. Then, goes on to say, there are patterns to life, rhythms. It is so easy, while trapped in just one life, to imagine that times of sadness and tragedy, or failure or fear, are a result of that particular existence, that it is a byproduct of living a certain way rather than simply living. I mean, it would have made things a lot easier if we understood there is no way of living that can immunize you against sadness, and that sadness is intrinsically part of the fabric of happiness. You can't have one without the other. That's good. That's tea. That is so tea. Because it's like, you don't know what happiness feels like until you experience sadness first and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? They coexist. They work together. And it's great because it's like, that's the beauty of life. Like, it's a privilege to experience pain, because like then you know like happiness feels 10 times better when you become happy. So that is one of the points I learned. Next point, okay, show gratitude. This is big, but a lot of Nora's life, I guess, well, from my perspective after reading the book, she had things in front of her that she didn't appreciate and she took for granted. And I think that is present in a lot of our lives, whether you want to admit it or not. I think everyone takes for granted a lot of things they have in their life. Maybe their home, their parents, their friends, things like that. So appreciate the things that you have in your life, because in other paths of life that you could have taken, those things may not be there. And that's also why I think it's so important to have a gratitude journal. It makes you, like, it genuinely, studies proven, it makes you a happier person. When you're more grateful, you don't get worked up over the small things anymore, because you realize how much you actually have in your life and the goodness that you have around you. Okay. Sorry, my notes are kind of all over the place, so give me a second. Okay. You can be anything you want to be. And that sounds so childish, but I mean this in the most serious adult way possible. People also, like, once you maybe get past like your 20s, you think your life is stuck on one type of path, but really it's still like an infinite amount of options that you can take and lives that you can live even once you're 30 years old. Like, your life does not stop when you're 30. If you want to change something about it, you can do it. You have time. Okay. And it kind of reminds me of what Kanye said. I'm gonna see if I can insert it here. But he said in an interview, like, I can be anything I want to be. Like, I can be in the NBA type thing.
Or any limit to what you think you can achieve?
No. Well, no. Because I think right now, if I was to quit rapping and I said I want to go to the NBA, I would be in the NBA.
No, you wouldn't.
Yes.
No, you wouldn't.
Yes, I would.
No, you wouldn't.
Yes, I would.
Why would you think you could make it to the NBA?
Because I think I could do anything.
And I live my life like that, and I think other people should live their life like that as well. And I think that's something Nora realized as the book progressed, is that it's never too late to pursue passions. And, like, you know, when you believe you can be anything you want to be, that shows up in your actions. That's why I always say words are power, because if you say, I can't do anything, you're not going to do anything. That's not in the book, but I feel like I should have added that. But then there's also the paradox of choice. When you have so many options, it becomes more stressful and harder to choose an option. Like hobbies. I talked about this in the last video. It's great to have hobbies, but when you have too many, you cannot be good at all of them. Jack of all trades, master of none, okay? You have to choose. Like, you can do anything, but you don't have to do everything at the same time. So I always tell people this, just like personally, I don't want to have one job for the rest of my life. When I work, I want to try out all the career paths that I think are suitable for me, but in due time. So maybe for 5 years I'll do that, and then for another 7 years I'll go down a slightly different career path, things of that nature. And there's 2 pages that I kind of wanted to read from the book that kind of supported this idea. Okay, let me find them. Okay, this is just one sentence, but it says, she just needed potential, and she was nothing if not potential. We are all potential. We all have potential inside of us. All of us are basically like untapped potential. There is like an infinite amount of things that we could do. So I thought that was just, I don't know, that's something to live by. You are nothing if not potential. You can do anything. But simultaneously, like I said, you can do everything, but once you have too many options, it can become a burden. And on this page it says, you are forgetting who you are. In becoming everyone, you are becoming no one. That is deep to me, because when you try to, I don't want to say overexert yourself, but when you try to have a hand in like every bucket, when you try to have a hand in every bucket, you're not really being true to who you are in the moment. I don't know how to explain it in a good way, but like at the end of the day, you're yourself. And if you're trying to do everything in one moment, that's not you being you. That's like, I don't, give it up, bro. I give up. Just take that as you want to take it. It makes sense to me. I don't know how to explain it to where, I mean, hopefully it makes sense to other people. It's open for I guess all books are open for interpretation, so everyone might take it a different way. And I can't explain how I took it because it makes sense in my head, but it doesn't make sense when I say it out loud. But yeah. But from that point, don't get caught up in other people's dreams for your lives. This was a really big problem for Nora because the people she had in her lives, they would say, oh, you'll be great at this. You'll be so good at that. And that's also what influenced her having so many choices in life and not knowing what path was right for her, because she's listening to what other people thought was great for her lives. When at the end of the day, you are the person who has to live your life, and you are the only person who has to answer to you. You need to be happy in whatever you choose. Other people's opinions, if they're close to you and if you care about them, can be great, but don't dwell on them too much because, like I said, you have to answer to you. Nobody else. You have to go to sleep at night and be happy with yourself. So that was a really big point in the book as well. The last point that I took from this book is that perception is reality. And we already knew this. Everyone already knew this, but I think we overlook, like, it's a very simple term. The idea of it is very simple, but in practice, it's actually kind of hard to integrate it into your life, I guess. Like a more glass half full instead of glass half empty approach to life. Outlook is everything. Your outlook on life determines how you live your life. Like, for example, when I had this job that I absolutely hated, I would have to tell myself, instead of saying I have to go to work, say I get to go to work. I get to interact with people today instead of sitting at home. Stuff like that. It really helps you change your outlook on your life. Like I said, words are power. So, use them to your advantage. There's just one more point. There's one more quote that I felt went perfectly with that point. If I can find it, that is. Okay, I finally found it. It says, you can be as honest as possible in life, but people only see the truth if it is close enough to their reality. As Thoreau, I think that's a philosopher, I don't know if I'm saying his name right. As Thoreau wrote, it's not what you look at that matters, it's what you see. If things are close enough to what your outlook on life is, then that's what you'll believe. Try to have a more positive outlook on life so your reality can start becoming more and more positive. Then I will leave this review with one more quote from the book that I thought was really great. It's towards the beginning of the book, and it says, the universe tended towards chaos and entropy. I don't know how to say that word. I know there's a Daniel Caesar song named that, but I don't know if it's, I think it's entropy. Yeah, that makes more sense to me. I don't know. That was basic thermodynamics. Maybe it was basic existence too. Basic existence is chaotic and entropic. Is that a word? I don't know. I'll have to look it up. But yeah, it's gonna be messy sometimes. That's okay. That's a part of life. We're all living life for the first time. Show grace, show kindness, show gratitude, and be positive. Those are the things I took from this book. It's a great book, like I said. You gotta read it for yourself, because I highlighted a bunch of stuff in that book, but things I don't really want to share because that'll kind of spoil the whole experience of you reading it for the first time. I don't want people to experience that for themselves. But before I go, I did order 2 new books to read. I already started this one. I've read the 4 Agreements, but this is The Mastery of Love. I'm excited to read this one. I kind of want to reread the 4 Agreements again because I feel like I'm at a different phase of my life now, and I might take different things from the book than I did before. So I read it in high school. And then People We Keep is kind of about your chosen family, your village, the people you choose to be around you, who might not necessarily like have raised you or anything like that per se, but people who impact who you are and things like that. So Hopefully you guys enjoyed this book review. I don't know, I've never really done a book review besides like writing a book review for class, and in those you have to be so detailed because you can give spoilers, but like I said, I really don't want to give that much away about the book, so I tried to keep it kind of vague. But yeah, I'm gonna start doing a book review for every book that I read that I think is worthy of sharing. So hopefully when I finish this book, I'll do another review. But if you made it this far in the video, thank you for watching. Maybe comment if you'd like. That's all I have to say. Have a great day. Toodles.